In a perfect world, we would have quality to go along with quantity in every single situation. Sometimes, living in a country of excess like we do in the United States, we fail to realize that it's okay to have one or the other. And we're going to talk about that principle today and how it applies to pistols. To tell you where I learned this from, this principle was instilled in me many years ago by a golf professional. This guy was a owner of a course and a pro. I played quite a bit with him, and I used to play a lot, and so I was pretty good then. I'm not anymore. And so I'm on the range one day, and I've got a bucket of balls, and I'm hitting, and I'd probably gotten through maybe half the bucket. And the pro comes up, and he's critiquing and talking. Hey, it looks good, good takeaway. You know, consummate teacher. They never stop. And he goes, how many of those balls are you going to hit? And I said, well, I got half bucket left, probably all of them. Now, he knew I wanted to be good. I had dreams of being good. And he said, Brian, if you really want to be good at golf, you have to learn to differentiate between quality and quantity. And I said, okay. And he goes, anybody can come to the range and hit 50 balls down the range, blow them down there, hit your driver every time. And that's important to do sometimes, he said. Just have fun, hit balls and have fun. But he goes, if you really want to be better, you have to understand the difference in that and actual training or practice. And that's where quality comes into play. And it made sense and it clicked. And so I started applying that to my archery world. I've been shooting bows since I was 12, deer hunting since I was 13. So in my application, all I had to do was make sure that I put one arrow in the vitals of a whitetail for a clean, ethical harvest, and I could feed myself and my family. I didn't have to shoot for endurance, but that didn't stop me being young and stupid and ignorant, shooting arrow after arrow after arrow. And you'd start out with pretty good groups, and before you know it, the groups are starting to open up and you're getting flyers. And at that age, you don't realize it's because you shot too much. 40, 50, 60 arrows, and you start getting lazy on the draw, and you start messing with the fundamentals and the techniques that you would want to have dialed in when you're in the woods to deer hunt. And so I learned later then, okay, I need to start going to the range at the archery range and start shooting fewer arrows and really start like a situation-based scenario in my mind. I'm watching deer come through the woods and then practice that way. And sometimes it was 2, 3, 4 arrows. And if I was happy with the placement, I was done. To this day, I rarely shoot more than 10, 12 arrows in a session. If I'm happy with them, I'm done. Now on the flip side, I have shot so poorly where my groups were so bad that I stopped. I put the bow away, packed it up, and said, I'm done. I'll do this another day. I started to apply the same principle to my pistol training about 3 years ago. I needed to learn a way to go to the range and not just worry about quantity or plinking, shooting. Quality is more training and practice. Nothing wrong with going to the range and just blowing rounds down range and plinking and shooting, but we have to understand the difference when we go to get better, and it is about quality practice and training. It's not necessarily about shooting a whole box of ammo or 100 rounds that we have on us. Besides, all we end up doing half the time we do that is we start out good and we just start doing mag dumps and just waste the ammo anyway. So if you're going to the range to waste ammo, don't call it a training session. Call it a quantity session where you're shooting and plinking. If you're going to get better, one of the best ways that I found for me personally, it worked for me when I turned a corner with my shooting, was I started going to the range. One summer I did it for a few months straight. I did nothing but the Federal Air Marshal pistol qualifying course. It's 30 rounds. Every course of fire is timed, and it applies to concealed carriers a lot. It's very applicable from low ready, from the concealment. You're back to the target and you turn 180 degrees and shoot one round on many target or several targets, several rounds on one target. You shoot from your knee. There's a mag change, and it's only 30 rounds. And especially if you show up cold, it really gives you feedback as to where you are and what you need to work on. So for a few months, that's all I did. And I didn't do any plinking or shooting. I did all training. And that's when my shooting became a lot better. Now, am I worried about a 1-inch circle at 25 yards? And no, Couldn't care less. I'm not a competition shooter. I want my groups as tight as possible in that upper chest as a civilian concealed carrier, because understanding under stress, they're going to open up some. I realize that. That's if I don't pee myself if I ever had to use the gun, because none of us know how we're going to react. None of us. So, unless you've been there. So that principle is really valuable and has helped me in so many different ways. Golf first, and archery, and then I've applied it to my pistol training. I'm nowhere near where I want to be as far as my shooting goes. I want to get better. I'm introspective now and then, and I look at myself and I'll watch videos and talk to really good local law enforcement officers that happen to be really good shooters, and pick their brain. I shoot with them, and that pushes you to get better. These two guys I shoot with are actually exceptional shooters. They're really good. So it's pushed me to get better. They still smoke me, but I'm getting better all the time, and I'm not going to stop learning. I apply this principle. If I go to the range with my kids and take 300 rounds, have at it. Do mag dumps. Let's just have fun as long as we're safe. If I go for a quality range session, training / practice, whole different mindset. Whole different mindset. So the Federal Air Marshal Pistol Qualifying Course, give it a try if you haven't. Highly encourage it. This isn't really to try to sell it or anything. It's just one that I've found that doesn't require that many rounds. The par times are, they're not too difficult, but they're difficult. They're challenging, especially if you haven't run it before. And it really is applicable to concealed carriers. So quality versus quantity. As long as we understand the difference and what we're going to get out of the two, there's nothing wrong with separating them, putting that split right down the middle between them. So guys, if you like this video, hit that little thumbs up down below, please. If you haven't subscribed, I'd appreciate it if you did. I appreciate the support. Thank you guys so much for watching Quality versus Quantity.